Hey you, watching this video right now, cut track penalty for you. Yes, cut track penalty for the whole world. I went round my local shop this morning to stock up on some Cheerios, and I took my card and put it into the machine, and up on the display it said, "You have received a cut track penalty." Oh, run the bloody titles. So that was the Austrian Grand Prix, and hey, what about those drivers, eh? What about those drivers? Oh my goodness, being their own stewards and dobbing in each other like no one's business. It was unbelievable. It was absolutely classic. I thought for a moment I'd gone back to school and we were all fighting over conkers. I've got the biggest conker. No, I've got the biggest conker. It was just epic to see. And yes, I'm looking at you, Lulu. I'm looking at you because you were the greatest offender of all. He's cutting the track. He's cutting the track. Boo-hoo, 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 boo-hoo. Give him a penalty. Give him a penalty. And then, of course, Lewis Hamilton gets a 5-second penalty for cutting the track, in which his response was, I'm sure you need to check some of them. I'm sure some of them were bullshit. Oh, Lulu! Lulu, please! No, Lulu! Unbelievable scenes. It really was. Unbelievable. Just the amount of drivers dobbling each other. This is what the stewards are there for. They're there to do that job. The drivers don't need to get involved. There are cameras everywhere set up. They know what they're doing. They can see if the drivers are cutting the track. You don't need the drivers to keep dobbing them in. It was just, it was schoolyard stuff. It really was. And I have to say, pretty much pathetic, and an indication of how woke this whole planet we're living on is going right now. Complete wokeness, it really was. And the FIA were doing themselves no favours by basically issuing out these track cut penalties for everything. Slightest little millimetre off the track, it's a penalty, it's a penalty. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous. Everyone, did this happen last year? Everyone knows that the A1 ring, as it used to be called, the Red Bull ring, or whatever you want to call it, it's the greatest cheat track in history. Anyone who plays the F1 games knows how easy it is to cheat on this track. It really is. So it must be no surprise to the FIA that they've probably been watching people playing the game and think, oh yeah, I can cut there. So yeah, I just don't get it. I just do not get it. And the FIA were just unbelievable. And the tiny little thing, and they're just dishing out penalties and safety cars and red flags, and it's just, oh my god, it is totally destroying the sport. It really is, which is a shame, because earlier on the Saturday we had a fairly decent sprint race, and of course this is the thing that the FIA and in fact Liberty Media are concentrating more on, because they did more hype and promotion for the sprint race than they did for the actual race itself. And it was a pretty decent race, I have to say. Of course, why was it a decent race? Because it was raining and they couldn't use the DRS. That's why, in my opinion, I think it was a fairly decent race. But as I say, the main race now is just, it's getting more and more pushed to the side, and it's unbelievable. I'm telling you right now, in about 2-3 years, maybe 4 years time, I'm pretty sure that this sprint race format will be done as like 2 sprints per, and the main race will be gone forever, which is going to be a very sad state of affairs indeed. But I can just see it happening because of the way they're promoting it. Now, of course, we've also got the added problem of domination in the sport. Now, before you Max Verstappen fans start baying your pitchforks at me, I'm not having a go at Max, okay? What is he supposed to do? He's winning races, he's in the best car, so yeah, good luck to Max Verstappen. Well done, Max. But I would also like to say how bad the sport is when someone 2 laps from the end says, oh, I think we should come in and change tyres for the fastest lap, because he was that confident that he could still win the race over the second car behind him, which was Charles Leclerc. That is a very sad state of affairs. Now, of course, domination of the sport is nothing new. We had it back in 2002 with Michael Schumacher. But back then, of course, we had a Bernie Ecclestone. Who knew what was going on. He had a good brain on him, I have to say. There's a lot of things that I don't like about Bernie, but he had a good brain on him, and he knew things were going wrong. And for the next season of 2003, he tried desperately, and in some places it worked, to try and fix the problems. But there's no one like that now in Formula One. Liberty Media don't care. They really don't care. They are just fixed and focused now on this stupid Drive to Survive on Netflix. That's all they're concerned about. I'll tell you what, there should not be a Drive to Survive for this season, because there is just nothing that you can dramatise that's going to be good enough for a series. And if they do, then it just goes to show you 100% that all this racing is just fixed just so that we can get a TV series out of it that me personally, I don't even bother watching, because I can't be bothered. As far as I'm concerned, it's not Formula One, and it never will be. So I've never watched an episode of Drive to Survive. I may watch them in about 10 years' time once it's all over, but as it's pretty relevant at the moment, I'm just not going to. So yeah, it was absolutely fascinating. It really was, and I've got to say, big respect to Max Verstappen for having the balls to cut, even though his own team, his engineer said, I don't think we should do this, Max. I really don't think we should do this. But he still did it. Came in, put on the soft tyres, got the fastest lap to get that one single solitary World Championship point. A lot of the Channel 4 commentators said it wasn't worth doing. But David Coulthard said, well, yes, it was, because, in championships past, they've won by one single solitary point. But I would, sort of take the issue that the other commentators said, and yeah, but he's so far ahead at the moment that 1 point is not going to make any difference. And of course, one stuck wheel nut, and that would have been over for Max Verstappen. And then the race would have been a totally different story. We would have all been talking about Max pushing it too far to the limit for the sake of one single point. But he did it. He come in, he got the soft tyres on, got the fastest lap, and got a whole 26 points in the process. But as I say, it was completely overshadowed by the fact that these cut track penalties were in effect for all the drivers. And the thing that spoiled it for me was basically the way the other drivers were dobbing each other in. It really was. It was pathetic. In fact, I was watching this and I thought, are you sure? I mean, you look back to the drivers of the past, okay? They wouldn't have been doing stuff like this. No, they wouldn't have been. Going back like 20 years or whatever, they wouldn't be dobbing each other in, going, oh, look, he's cut the track. It's this nannying state that I've said about before, and it's just getting worse and worse and worse. And we wonder why there's so much trouble right now in the world. We really, I wonder why. When things like this are happening on a regular basis. If you keep people down constantly, eventually they will get fed up and things will happen. That's all I'm going to say. But yeah, so it was a pretty piss poor performance from the stewards, once again, with, as I say, 100 cut track penalties. I mean, this really should have been, I don't know, mitigated far early into the race, especially if this was happening all through the weekend as the race went on. That all these penalties were coming into effect. It's just ridiculous. I mean, they even admitted that they couldn't keep up with all the penalties that were going to come out of it. I mean, they managed to get a few drivers. They got Lulu. Yes, and they got a few others as well. But apart from that, I'm sure there was other drivers there that have accumulated their maximum allotment of, or should I say, allowance of cut track penalties and didn't actually get a 5-second penalty. I'm sure there was some drivers there that did it, because as far as I could see, every single driver was cutting the track at certain points. I'm sure they were. So yeah, I'm sure half of them maybe got away with it. So yeah, it's just ridiculous. It was another shit show for Formula One. I feel like I only come on here now when something like this happens. I'd like to come on here and say, oh wow, that's a great race, one of the best I've ever seen in 20 years. But no, it's just because it's another FIA shit show once again. And this is Formula One, everyone. This is what it's going to be like now, and it's not going to improve. I'm hoping it's going to improve, but optimism is not high at the moment. It really isn't. Anyway, let me know in the comments what you think about the cut track penalties Do you think they were justified? Do you think they were fair? Do you think it was all a shit show? Do you think that Formula One is basically reaching its end of life cycle now? Not its end of life cycle, because I believe it will continue for years and years and years to come. I reckon we'll still be doing Formula One in hover cars in about another 20, 30 years. I don't know, possibly. I mean, they've just invented the flying car now, so it's quite possible that we'll be hovering around in Formula One in 30 years like Wipeout. But what I'm saying is the popularity, I think, of Formula One over the next 2 years is going to dip to such a low level that it's going to be classed basically as a minority sport, because nobody's going to bother watching it. I'm sorry, but this is what's going to happen. Nobody's going to bother watching it, and it's going to be like the World Rally Championship. Everyone remembers World Rally in its heyday. It was watched by millions of people, and now its viewing figures have declined, and this is what's going to happen to Formula One. It's a sad fact, and I'm very sad. As a Formula One fan, I'm very sad, but I can see it's going to happen, because if Max continues the domination, then people are just not going to bother watching anymore. And if you get stupid decisions like these cut track penalties, it just feels like every Grand Prix just made up now. It just feels like it. I can't remember the last time I saw a race where it was a great race and nothing happened. You know, no controversy, no incident. I can't remember. So it seems like the F1 has gone into the Matrix. Yes, that's what it seems like. It seems like Neo has invaded Formula One, because it's just, I can't believe half the things I'm seeing on screen half the time. I really can't. I swear I've taken the blue pill. Well, I have, but that's another story. But yeah, I just swear I have taken the blue pill, because it's just ridiculous. It really is. And I can't see it changing. Definitely not for the better. I can only see it getting worse. And if Max's domination continues, which I can't see it's going to stop. It's going to continue now for next 3 or 4 years at least. And I also stand by my prediction that I said at the start of the season, which is that a Red Bull is going to win every single round of this championship, barring mechanical failures, don't forget. And at the moment, my prediction is on track. It's on track. So, yeah, I swear it's going to happen. It's going to be a Red Bull, and this will be, if it happens, it's going to be the first time, I think, since 1973 when a team had total domination. So, yeah, it looks like it's going to happen. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, everyone. You've been awesome as always, and I'll catch you in the next one.